Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Diary of a Professional. It's Ashley.
Blue.
Yes, welcome. Let's get into it. Our gratitudes for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know, Marlou, would you like to start?
Ooh, I am grateful for a great team.
Mm,
Whether that's like a personal, your village, whether it's, coworkers who know how to be efficient and get things done, especially when things are stressful. It just brings a sense of calm and confidence that I'm just like, it's like work has been something else lately. I had a nice stretch and I was like, I don't know if it was the full moon. I don't know if Mercury's drinking her Gatorade. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on. It's in the air. I feel it. But it was just like, we gonna make it. We gonna be all right. And now I'm off and I am grateful.
yes, grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Grateful for
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for those people who are all about their astrology, I think Mercury retrograde is coming up. So
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
something's in the air. Something's in
Something.
the
You feel it, right?
air. It's changing.
Yeah.
For me, I am grateful for as I'm enjoying this dragon fruit, I'm grateful for traveling. Um, just because you get to experience all different type of foods. I
Mm-hmm.
would have never thought of a dragon fruit if it weren't for Thailand. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful for just experiencing different cultures and experiencing really epic moments in
Yeah.
different countries. So yeah, as I'm like chowing down on this this grapefruit, dragon fruit,
Right.
I'm grateful.
Yes. And you listen, and you can see in the beauty of it because we know people who essentially want America in another country, and that's whack to me, but that's a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
So let's get into our conversation today. Tell us our conversation for today.
All right. So, we don't really do like hot topics, what's going on, current event situation, but certain things is just, you can't ignore it, right? And I don't listen because, even though we're nurses, in my mind, I'm like low key, like a sociologist, with psych interest. So
Let's not
like
go ahead, but I'm just trying to say let's not try to take away the fact that we have minors in sociology. So
we
let's
do,
put
we
let's put that out
do.
there. So
you
boom.
know I'm an avid people watcher, like, people's natures and the whys of why they do things, like it's kind of like when you see someone throwing a tantrum, it's like, oh, they're just so angry. No, there's something behind that, that I don't know if it's, with our interests, plus like, in ways I can be very empathetic and seeing past the facade or whatever. So like, unless if you've been living under a rock, um, P. Diddy has been all over the news. And I mean, if you're from New York, if you grew up in the 90s, we've always heard of him like robbing his artists, right? And being unfair and shady. And then, we were able to kind of, I don't know, somehow celebrate or see humor when we saw Making of the Band, and he's having them, fight for their beds and walk, to Brooklyn for some
For
cheesecake and
cake.
for some cheesecake. I don't even think that man ate it, to be honest.
They have to go ahead word for juicy over and over and over again.
Madness. The man is maniacal. Um, but he gave us great music, right? Um, but he's just like one of those people. Charismatic. Charismatic as hell, he's a lot of the first, whether it was Vote or Die and running a marathon and, the attachment to Biggie. Take that, take that. Like, he was in Era, shiny suits, like, But there's the more nefarious side, the sexual allegation side, the sex trafficking, the abuse, the Cassies, um, and everything that's coming out that sometimes it almost seems so far fetched to be real. But I think, with power, like they say, with power comes responsibility, Spider Man. Um, People's inflated self of ego can come into play and they feel like, they're above God because they've been made to feel that way. Their power has, and I just wanted to talk about essentially accountability in the Black community, what that looks like, what it hasn't really looked like, how it's biased for, depending on who we're talking about. So I kind of, in the cases of, let's say, these abuses that have been brought against, prominent Black men, whether it's the Diddy, whether it's R. Kelly, whether it's Cosby, whether it was Michael Jackson, um, there are some who quickly are like, yep, they did it. And there are some, even in the face of incredible evidence, will say, why are we always bringing the Black man down? Why are we always doing that? Um, Blaming everyone except the person doing it. Well, maybe she shouldn't have done this. She was a grown up. Why is, underage girls around? Some of these 15-year-old girls look like they're 21 anyway.
First of all, accountability doesn't even it's not even a thing in the Black community. It's just not a thing. But
Mm-hmm.
like I'm gonna just use art for example. We
Sure.
have we have heard over the years the
Mm-hmm.
things he's done.
Mm-hmm.
He had a whole sex tape peeing on a young girl.
We remember that.
But it was just a parody on the Chappelle show. That's all it was in the end. We heard that he was married to Aaliyah.
We
But we
saw
we
the
saw
marriage license
the license. But we put that all aside. Why? Because we believe we can fly.
and
And we
touch the
stepped in the name
sky.
of love. Yep, and touched the sky. And we stepped in the name of love. Because we were happy people.
Mm-hmm. Because he gave us 12 play and TP2 and
The best of both worlds. So why should we try to even hold him accountable
right,
when he's giving us great music?
right,
Why are we trying to tear him down? Why are we making such a fuss now?
right. It was so long ago, right? Why didn't you even send nothing back then? Mm-hmm.
Whereas it's been there repeatedly, time and time again. Time and time again. And as a whole in the community. And to this day, there are people that's like, he needs to be out.
Mm-hmm.
Free him.
Yeah.
There's little rallies. Like
Oh, yeah.
maybe like a year ago or so, I saw a little rally in a park about free R. Kelly. You know? It's about,
Huh.
and it's like,
That
and it's
sometimes
blowing my
blows
mind.
my mind.
So here we are now, Puffy.
Mm-hmm.
There's always these charismatic men, you know. The the celebrities that you mostly see in the Black community, the limelight, take that.
Right. Who
We
didn't
got our
want to
thing popping.
go to his white party in the Hamptons when that was a thing?
Growing up, I used to be like, wow,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
one day I'll make it there. God, why was I saying that? But at the same time, controversy is always surrounding him.
Always.
Let it be some shooting in a nightclub, and then his artist goes down for it.
Right.
You know, things of that nature. But things get swept under the rug.
Right.
And now we got to hold him accountable. Well, we're finally holding him accountable. And it's like,
Yes. Especially, in the age following the Me Too and all these things. And even now, what we're hearing about the Nickelodeon stuff, a lot of times I'll see comments of, well, what about this one? Well, what about that? And calling out white abusers as though everybody can't get the smoke, as though they all should be held accountable, but also not understanding the way the justice system in this country works. There are just way too many people, and I have a loose understanding, but I know a little bit, that there's a difference between criminal and civil.
Yes.
Okay. So you can make allegations against someone all day long, right? If they really adamantly feel like you're wrong, they can sue you for defamation because you're defaming their character. Um, if they're right, they can't win, so why even bother? So that's one thing, right? But I know like they have that documentary that came out with the Nickelodeon stuff, and the difference is those people did not file charges. They can make allegations. I can see something happen, like, God forbid, let's say I see somebody hit you or whatever. Let's say it was a domestic abuse, whatever. If you're not willing to bring charges against that person and there's no outside evidence, like there's no video that the state can come in and say, this is what this person did, you don't have any marks, there's nothing I can do.
Not one thing.
You know what I mean? You have to have, go ahead, say what you're going to say.
No, I'm with you. And I think the people need to
Yeah.
understand that, because all you see in these comments are, why don't they bring this one down? Why don't they do this to this person? What about the Nickelodeon people? Well, did they file anything?
Right. Right.
I don't think so.
Yes. It's also understanding statutes. I think murder might be the only crime that doesn't have a time limit. Okay. So something might have happened if your state, and it's not even on if your state says, oh, you should have said something by this date, sorry, can't help you, then there's really nothing you can do criminally. Right. Also, it's very hard to prove, especially if it happened years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to lawsuits is not a I'm gonna get rich because I feel a kind of way. Lawsuits are meant to make someone whole and how they feel, the damages, how it might equate monetarily or other kind of judgments. So in the case of Cassie, right? I want to say that there was a New York law that changed that said there was this certain time limit. So when you see a slew of these people being sued, it's because New York State said you got until the strike, till the clock turned 12. And I can imagine, or I mean, as a victim, what it's like. Do I just let it go and try to move on and heal? Or do I seek justice because this person really did a number? And if people looked and actually read the court documents and understood it, like the things that she went to be, she says she was forced to have sex with male prostitutes, physically abusing her. There was a time where he hit her in a hotel, and it was on camera because it was in the hallways, and it was on camera, and he had it, deleted.
Mm-hmm.
She was dating Kid Cudi, set his car on fire.
Blew it up.
We know who Kid Cudi is.
Didn't he admit it said that happened?
Right. And nothing came of that. Okay. When there was this woman, I guess I didn't realize, there was a shooting between him and his son, and he shot the girl in the face. And it was like, oh, you just here for the money. I got shot in the face. I'm gonna keep saying it till I'm blue in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And people have been screaming at the mountaintops. And even like when it comes to like just money, when it comes to Mace, oh, da da da. Then why do you keep coming back? Why'd you do the tour? Why didn't you manage your money? I don't think people understand how intimidation works. how power works, how that victim, or the abuse, the mentality, it changes. You know what I mean? Either you just want it to go away, you don't want the trouble, and there's real, consequences that come. If someone is in entertainment, this is all they know, this is all they know how to do, and he can literally stop your money from coming in, you're going to comply.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like, and we've talked about abuse when we had that conversation with Joanne. You try to weigh the lesser of two evils, or you figure you can stay with it, or your um your self-esteem is to a point where this is your life and this is what it is.
There's even Stockholm syndrome. Like, look at those.
Yes.
There, look at those women who was supporting R. Kelly, his girlfriends.
Lying. Lying.
So there's like levels to it.
Yes.
Um, but it's just more concerning how uh people barely look at these documents, but then started just blaming Cassie, other women. Really, you'll see. I see some people like supporting Diddy,
Oh yeah.
and it's like really just look at it. Look at it as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
can we support this?
Right.
Why are we supporting this? This is not even about race anymore. This is a
No.
human. And this is why it's so difficult for people to disclose sexual abuse
Yeah.
because they're not usually believed.
Right. Oh, imagine what it's like for the men. Because now it's like you're gay.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, how you gonna let another man do that?
Let's talk about that. It's like, nah, how you gonna let that do that? You wanted
R-
that. You enjoyed that.
right, girl. Speaking of, you enjoyed that, because we can talk about the celery, but in everyday regular people life, um, I saw it was on Twitter, and it almost goes to show how mentally, I want to say fucked up some people are. This one woman was talking about her son, and her son doesn't want to go, to the grandfather's house because grandfather babysits him or whatever. And she's like, oh, yeah, my son feels away because, I mean, yeah, my dad touches him or whatever. But, now that he's been going to school, now he sees it as wrong because of what they're teaching him. And she's like, I don't know how it's wrong because, he knows it feels good. I don't think people, and that's part of the guilt and how they're able to manipulate, because you can't really help when, you know, sensations in your nerves and someone's sexually stimulating you, you know, but it's grandpa. And the fact that you already see that, that means she was abused
Mm-hmm.
and didn't see it as wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Grandpa might have been abused. And it's literally like passing it on like a family heirloom. And because schools said, oh no, grown people are touching you and that's wrong. And let's be statutory. That means, based on the law, if they're young, they cannot consent. Doesn't matter if they say they like it, what they cannot consent.
Can you repeat that one more time? Because I think people forget that.
Right. If you are not an adult, that means under the age of 18, regardless of how they dress, what they look like, what they think they want, if you are an adult and you're engaging in sexual acts, that is considered rape. They cannot legally say yes.
Okay, putting that out there because for some reason people like to blur the lines, or people want to make it feel like it is otherwise. And speaking of that child too. Yeah, in school, by the time they hit kindergarten, first grade, or which have you, they learn about good touch and bad touch in school. And you'll be surprised what I've heard from educators and teachers.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of kids that approach them afterwards saying, "Hey, by the way, you mentioned this, or we had this assembly, but this has happened to me, or that has happened to me." So in their mind at home, they're thinking this is okay, and then their whole world is shifted
Right.
when they're like, "Wait a minute. So I know something was wrong with this. So it's not okay."
Right.
So the amount of reports, the influx of reports that come in
I
after
hate
those
it.
after those assemblies is interesting to us. Well, just
It's
want to point that out there.
no, it's jarring. And I think the abuse is one thing, right? But it goes to another level when the parent or whoever's supposed to be responsible either ignores or chastises that kid, because whether it's like, if it's the man of the family who's providing, whether it's grandpa and we don't want to send another black, and women do it too. Let's not act
Absolutely.
like, like in the case of R. Kelly, he used to get abused by an older female family member,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a lot of times how it continues. Not making excuses, but trying to understand where it starts. When a kid is touching another kid inappropriately, you think he just saw that on, in a cartoon? No, he's kids do what they see, and he's seen that. Um, when like even in the case of like Oprah, she was abused by an uncle. I want to say for a very long time. I want to say she even got pregnant by him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at family functions, he'd still be around. No one. We're protecting these grown ass predators and leaving the child to fend for themselves, feeling like I can't trust anyone. Nowhere is safe. My voice doesn't matter, so on and so forth. And it permeates in almost every relationship that they have.
Mm-hmm. Essentially. So it's important to ask, first of all, when someone is disclosing anything like that, um, you have to advocate for them and believe them. People are not out here really trying to say, like, lie about this. Like,
Right,
let's be real. That's pretty egregious.
right.
Um, and really kind of ask when's the last time they've been in contact with that person,
Mm,
because you'll be surprised at the responses you hear.
mm-hmm.
It's usually a family member or someone they're close to. So if someone is confiding in you, a lot of times they're asking for help.
Yeah,
So I just hope that we as a community do better and help them, you know,
yeah,
when they find that voice in them
yes.
to say something.
And I think on the reverse, because, selective outrage, if you look at a case like Megan the Stallion, right? Or certain other women who might be more sexually forthcoming, might be more promiscuous, um, if they're not perceived as like Taylor Swift, Lily White, pure and holy, it's like they deserved it. You know what I mean? Megan Thee Stallion, shot, not shot, whatever. People that also don't, and also not knowing what the heck people are talking about. Um, Tory Lanez went to jail not necessarily because he shot Megan. It's because he is a foreigner who was on probation, carrying a firearm illegally. And in the state of California, that's a problem.
People don't know that. People don't want to read the stuff to know that.
So when they're all blaming her and, well, you slept with him and you stole him from your friend and you was just mad because he was giving Kylie attention or da 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 da, and well, because you lied to Gail King and said you didn't sleep with him when you did. It's like, everything else can't be believable. Well, we don't believe you on this, so you just can't, like, and you don't just, and not only not believing her, because you can believe her, not believe her, but you're literally coming for her for the for who is a Tory Lanez? You know what I mean? Certain things can't happen to certain people.
It just boils down once again to why. And the thing is, she was protecting. Let's make this clear. She was
Yeah.
protecting him for a
Mm-hmm.
while too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make this
Mm-hmm.
clear. Even after all of that, she was still trying to figure out a way to help Tori not to get locked up.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So just that just shows how the black woman is treated.
Because everybody turned forensic scientists trying to know how a bullet, this one, that one, and
All of a sudden, everyone is lawyers.
everybody
Everyone
got a
knows.
degree.
Mm-hmm. And not really paying attention to the facts.
Mm-mm.
But anyhow,
Yes.
I just want to even take a step back because, as you were mentioning, like Megan is not some plain Jane, conservative dressed from head to toe.
Right.
And any kind of like allegations that, she may put against anyone, it's like, well, you're provocative, you're this or that. I just wanted to share this tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Back in the days, I went on this date,
Mm-hmm.
wore this nice jeans. My blouse is a little V-neck, nothing too crazy, but I did a little V-neck. Um, we went out to dinner. He said, let's have a drink up the block. I said, sure, why not? Had a drink with him. As I'm enjoying the drink next to him,
Mm-hmm.
he decides to try to kiss me. I push him off.
Mm-hmm.
Then he decides to put his hand down my shirt while at the same time putting his hand down my jeans. And I absolutely pushed him off. Actually, go ahead, put down my drink instead of walking out. Told this story to this guy about my experience, and he's like, well, actually, like, look how you dress or look how you present yourself. Why wouldn't that happen?
Why wouldn't that?
So, um, I'm just sharing that because these are the things that people deal with. And that's just a minute experience compared to
Yeah.
bigger
And
uh
this was in public.
in public. In public.
First date.
First date.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So imagine these people in the limelight in front of everyone.
Right. Who are rarely told no.
Exactly.
And I'm thoroughly convinced the second that COVID was released, there was a switch that put everyone's crazy in overdrive because some of the things are so blatant and so crazy. Some of them you're just like, you can laugh at. But certain things, like what just recently happened in Brooklyn, where twin sisters leaving a deli, boy asks for her number. She says no, but decides to give her IG instead. In the deli, hoping he left, thinking he left. And he comes and he stabs her in the neck. And when a general consensus, you know, why don't you just give him your number? Or when you're walking down and you're ignoring them, I might have headphones in. You don't even know. And you don't acknowledge them the way that they want. You don't, you know, acquiesce to what they're asking of you. Never met you, complete stranger on the street, and they get angry
Mm-hmm.
as though we owe them something. Like they literally don't know how to take no for an answer. And now we're paying with our lives. I mean, I remember you experienced it with your friend who got slapped in the face because she didn't. And sometimes they'll do this around other men too,
Oh yeah.
who do nothing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And
I've
often,
I've been in some weird situations all because they couldn't get a number or things like that, to the point I'm in a space where I give my number and block later. Like, I'm in the space now.
yeah, because they will call you on site to make sure it's the number.
Oh yeah, I literally show them, and it's sad, but based on my experience of just saying no, I literally show them and literally make sure I am where I need to be safely and block.
Yeah, I
I'm
literally
doing that,
have a
Peter.
code word with my brother. Like, if I ever call you and say this, start asking questions, know that it is a situation. I mean, how many women pretend to be on the phone if they're crossing or, about to converge into a group of men? Because, you'll drive to the next gas station. Like, we don't feel safe. And
No,
they're not held accountable. It's
no,
not a one-off when a girl unfortunately is stabbed. Like, cases of domestic violence is crazy. There are many police officers. Those are one of the most dangerous calls because those people are so unhinged. When a person feels like they own you, when a person feels like you owe them, even the woman who her son died because her boyfriend, who wasn't her boyfriend for over 10, 15 years, just got out of jail and felt like she owed him something, came and stabbed her son. She was pregnant, which means she's moved on and had another relationship.
hmm
And I think that also accountability is in our laws because a piece of paper, right? Cops won't do anything until something happens. There's nothing preemptive about it. It's almost like our healthcare system.
hmm
We treat after, there's not a lot of preventative care. It's not until after the fact that it's like, oh, damn, maybe we should have done this, or he shouldn't have been let out on bail for that. Our society as a whole do not hold these people accountable. So of course they're going to have that complex, like, I got away with it once and twice and I can do it again. And I'm gonna do it again.
Take that, take that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then we're just gonna create a meme about it. I mean,
and laugh about it and make
and
jokes
laugh.
about it,
And laugh.
because that's how we deal with our trauma.
And that ain't it though? You know. I heard a comedian was like, how did you get into comedy? He's like, because of the trauma of my life. Black people as a whole have lived a very traumatic experience, whether you are doing well off or you are deep in the gutter and everything. I mean, if you don't, you laugh to keep from crying. Like, there's a reason why that's a saying. But that just means we're really neglecting the real issue.
And that's our issue as
Yeah.
a community. We
Yeah.
neglect the issue time
Uh-huh.
and time again. So, on that note, any last thoughts, Marlu?
I think it is important to, especially in this generation, we busy out calling out our parents and the things and the trauma that we've gone through and trying to break those cycles. I think it needs to happen on a larger scale. I think sometimes people need to pause, and really empathize. Because imagine, someone who's a victim, if they're just trying to like escape and just have a moment, and every time they go to the internet, it's a joke about something they've experienced, you know, and a lot of times you don't know what someone's gone through, but you have now disqualified yourself as a safe space for a friend who might have gone through that because of your insensitivity, your willful ignorance, or just straight out callousness. Um, and I don't feel like someone has to necessarily go through something to feel for someone. And I think we just need to be better humans to our fellow humans. And Even if it's your fave, even if it's your fave, like they're also human too and should be held accountable.
Absolutely. Listen to people, hear them. I mean, granted, I'll say all of this allegedly because we haven't said any alleged yet. Allegedly,
I think
all
I
this.
threw one out there, but
Oh, okay.
that's what the internet says. I'm just reading what the
I'm
people
just reading
said.
what. But
Mhm.
listen to people.
Yeah,
Don't brush them aside. You know, if this is what they're saying, what's happening to them, why wouldn't you want to consider in believing them?
yeah.
You know,
And if you can do nothing, just shut the fuck up.
that's it.
Silence is golden.
It's everything when it needs to be. On that note, y'all, let us know y'all thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to know your thoughts because we just had to bring this to attention because it's been kind of crazy out here in the news lately.
And I'm sure it's going to be someone. I mean, I don't know if it's going to get any bigger unless if they like get Jay-Z or something. I don't see it. Like, it's always something.
Always.
Yeah.
So, till next time, everyone.
Till next
Like, comment,
time.
subscribe. Bye.